Welcome to St. Augustine this evening, the Mike Davis Show, and we have got a great show for you. It's Monday.
Hey.
It's the finals of the NCAA basketball tournament. Amanda has all the line, the scores, the stats, everything you could possibly want to know.
I do.
She's got it all.
There's new bats.
You know, you're getting good at this. You really, truly are. I was telling somebody earlier today, we don't usually talk a lot of sports, and when it's a big sports day, it's kind of hard, and then I throw this stuff out there, but Amanda has learned to make complete fun of it, and it is awesome. So,
Yep.
Yes, I had no idea what sport you were going to interject into that. Didn't know polo was going to get involved, hockey, whatever, but I thought it was really good. So, yes.
I can't do polo. It's Royals.
It's
I
Royals.
don't like Royals.
Yeah, you're probably right. I do not like the Royals. Did you, do you even know who's playing in tonight's championship game?
Not tonight's.
Did you know who played last night in the women's?
Not last night's.
Okay.
I know Gators must have played this weekend because my friends were all like, wow. So
The Gators won in a very close game.
All right.
I have family that's there at the Final Four.
okay.
And my family that was there, there's 4 of them, and they were sitting in front of some Auburn fans and behind some Gator fans, which ironically, one of them went to UF with one of the fans sitting in front. It's a small world, right? So Florida's losing at the end of the first half. Auburn has played an amazing first half. Florida's down 8.
Oh, they did the thing you're not supposed to do, didn't they?
So my family changed seats. Florida comes out on a tear and absolutely just smokes Auburn to get back in the game in the first 4 minutes.
Yeah.
There's a TV timeout. The Auburn fans, who they've kind of become friends with, they've been laughing and joking during a game, even though they both want to win.
Yeah.
They were being adults, which there's not a lot of adulting going on in the world right now. And so the Auburn fans are like, hey, you can't do that. They can't do what? You can't change seats. You have to stay in the seat that you're in for the whole game.
I'm telling the cops on you.
So the next day, my family is watching a replay of the game as though it would suddenly change, right? But they're watching a replay of the game because in the arena, they didn't show any of the close fouls.
Okay.
Anything that was under review, the fans were just left guessing what was going on. And there were more than a few bad calls in the game against Auburn, against Florida, against Duke, and against Houston. The officiating was suspect. But they were rewatching it, and I was talking to them right as the second half started, like, oh my God, we got to change places on the seats on the couch or we're not going to win. So it's just funny. If you're a sports fan, you're kind of like, yeah, we get that. That's what you do. You have all these superstitions. I remember when the Atlanta Braves beat the Pirates to go to the World Series in 1991.
I remember that game too.
They went from last to first, and Sid Bream was on second. And I can remember sitting there. I'd finished the last beer I had in the house. I'm watching the game. Darcy is asleep. And I'm just sitting there, and I refused to move because the Braves were winning. I was peeling the label off the beer. I stopped at exactly the moment that the Braves started coming back.
Yeah.
And then Sid Bream chugs all the way around in that iconic moment and slides home safe. The slowest man in the history of baseball was safe. And I am yelling and screaming, and Darcy comes out the back of the house. She goes, what is going on? I said, the Braves won, the Braves won. And she's like, I'm going to bed.
Yeah.
So I was so excited. I don't think I've slept for like another hour. But anyway, where were you when all of that happened?
We were a house divided.
Okay.
So my mom, my brother, and I were Braves fans. And my dad was rooting for the Pirates. And so
I don't like your dad anymore.
I don't know if you've even met my dad.
I don't like him anymore. I don't know, the Star Wars thing, Star Trek thing was okay, but I'm not sure I like him anymore.
So he's safe, right?
Yes.
I am laying on the floor on the carpet in front of the TV, and like my brother and my mom are sitting on the chairs on either side, and my dad's on the couch, and the call's safe, and I just hear a roar, and I get beamed in the back of the head with a button. He went biblical and rended his clothing,
wow.
and buttons were flying everywhere. We found buttons for weeks.
They were, the Pirates that year were one of the best teams in baseball.
Yeah.
and if not the best team.
Mhm.
And the Braves were this cobbled together. It was like Major League is what it was like. And it was so much. And then, of course, the guy comes rumbling around second. It was like Major League.
Yeah.
So it was very, very interesting
Yeah.
to watch all of it. So,
So that was
yeah.
the one time I really saw my dad get passionate over baseball.
Yes.
It's mostly because I got acute head trauma from a button.
It was, baseball can get you.
Yeah.
And right now the Braves are, I don't even know. I think they might be 1-9 or something. I got to look them up and see. I'll do the lookup of the Braves schedule. I know they did win a game over the weekend while we're doing ads and making some money for this show. So Hebert Kresge and Associates, they are a full service local CPA firm with a team of skilled professionals dedicated to providing top levels of service in the areas of tax compliance and planning for businesses, individuals, estates, and trusts. You need an audit, a review, or other accounting services, they can also do that. And they've got the people to do a business valuation, forensic analysis, or even litigation support. You can reach Bill and Ken at 904-460-0747 or online at hebertkresgecpa.com.
Opening their doors in 2008, Brightway Insurance, the Casey agency, has proudly stood by their customers through hurricanes, major floods, hail, and fires. Through these events, the agency has become a much-needed insurance resource in times of trouble and hardship. Honesty and integrity are the pillars of our core values, says owner Ashley Casey. We pride ourselves on being insurance experts while developing strategies that help our clients meet their insurance needs. They truly enjoy the relationships that they have forged with you, St. Augustine. For all your insurance needs, Brightway Insurance, the Casey agency. Hebert was about to pop out. Wrong one. He did that one. Bozard Ford Lincoln in St. Augustine, their goal is to make sure your time and experience buying a car is stress-free, fun, and enjoyable. Bozard is a family-owned Ford dealership that has been in business since 1949. Bozard Ford Lincoln has been the recipient of numerous dealer awards, including being ranked #1 automotive dealership in the nation by Dealer Rater. Bozard Ford has also won back-to-back President's Awards, which is the highest honor given by Ford Motor Company. Check them out today online at bozardford.com or head on down there and have a Jiffy Burger at Ford's Garage.
Go get the Jiffy Burger.
Uh-huh.
It is amazing. The Braves are 1-8. Apparently their game yesterday got rained out. Or something happened to it.
Or something.
Or something happened to it. I don't know. All right. When something happens to your AC, there's only one group to call, and that's Powell Heating and Air Conditioning. Their dedication to customer service is evident in everything they do. From the time they answer your call until the time they leave your home, they're working to make sure you are comfortable and confident about the care and service you receive from Powell Heating and Air Conditioning. Got a fleet of over 10 trucks, a 15,000 square foot warehouse stocked with parts and equipment. They service all major heating and air conditioning brands, and they're open 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, including nights, weekends, and holidays. So the entire time, every bit, they're here. They're open. If you need them, they will come help you and fix you. And they've been doing this amazingly for over 40 years. So Powell Heating and Air Conditioning, great people. We just have the best sponsors. So we really, really love them. They do amazing work, and we use our sponsors. So
who are you pulling for today in the game for Florida versus Houston?
I'm pulling for the Gators.
Yeah.
I am. I thought Duke would win it all, and I didn't want to jinx my Gator friends and fans, so I didn't pick them. But I'm kind of pulling for that. I think Houston plays a very physical form of basketball, so the Gators have to handle that tonight, and they have to make their free throws, and they have to close this game out. Houston had an amazing 11-0 run to finish the game. So 11-0 in the last. Maybe I think it was maybe 8 or 9-0 in the last 30 seconds. So Florida can't count on the fact that they get to the end of this thing and it's over.
Yeah.
Houston plays a very physical level of defense. So that it'll be fun to watch. That'll be good. It'll all be good. I think the Gators, this team reminds me of those Gator teams that went back to back in 07, 06, 07, 08, somewhere in that timeline.
Nice.
That was just a fun team to watch, and this is a fun team to watch. So,
awesome.
So I think it'll be really, really good.
How's the Davis family bracket?
I was in 6th place. If Duke had won, I was going to be 3rd.
You're going to make the finals.
I was going to be on the podium for the first time ever in the bracket that we started. My sister somehow has inherited running this thing, which is no fun getting everybody to get their stuff in. But there's about 16 or 17 of us that are in the bracket. the person I was going to lose to, or was like got in second, just used all Dick Vitale picks.
Okay.
They went online, saw who Dick Vitale picked that, and they were going there. If Duke had won, they would have had it.
Yeah.
Right now, there's about 7 people, because they're all a lot of us from Florida, that had the Gators picked to win it all.
Mm-hmm.
My brother Todd, traitor that he is, picked Houston.
Yeah.
So if Houston wins, he goes from like the middle of the pack. He's like in 12th or 13th place to the top. So if there's anybody today that's rooting for Houston, our family, it's my brother Todd. Nice. Everybody else is pretty much probably rooting for the Gators, except for my brother-in-law, Jason, who's a Clemson fan.
Clemson.
They let me down, man. Clemson cost me. I picked them to get to the Final Four, and they were my dark horse. I'm like, okay, I'm going to pick a team. And I think I was unduly influenced by you and by him. And so I'll never pick Clemson again.
I led you astray.
All right, we've got...
Do that a couple of times in trivia. You stop getting invited,
That's
too.
it, you did. Right, Bozard Ford community update page. We got a couple of things. Task Force Hydro 1, May the 3rd, 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. They're doing an open ocean kayak paddle. They could use some help.
Yep.
Amanda has put the links out there on our podcast the last 2 or 3 days. She'll put it out there again today. And then also we have, what's our other big one? It's coming up.
Well, Jimmy Jam sent me information.
Jimmy Jam, yes.
So we got new updates from Jimmy Jam. All right. We've got 2 full days, hands-on barbecue training, instruction on chicken, ribs, pork, and brisket, competition-style prep and cook. Bonus, you get a free steak class on Friday night while prepping meats. One-on-one time with Jason Hardy, the elite barbecue smokers, and Ryan King of King's Barbecue. Beer and bourbon provided throughout the weekend. Mike's there. Continental breakfast.
What weekend is this? I'm going to take a week off just for this weekend.
Bloody Mary Bar Saturday morning. Tastings of each barbecue category as they're finished on Saturday. Open Q&A with the pitmasters. Friends and family barbecue bash from 5 to 8 p.m. Saturday evening. We've got, this is the Jimmy Jam Throwdown class. He didn't give me the date. Okay, I got to pull up the date.
All right. How much is it?
I'll get that. He didn't give me that information.
Where's it at? How much is it? I mean, the stuff that news people want to know.
I trusted the email. Tim, what are you doing to me? Put it in the comments.
Tim, we're trying to support you here, brother.
He was like, I got an update for you. Like, awesome, send it to me.
We are
and I didn't pre-read it.
Trying to support
you. Never read something you didn't pre-read.
Oh my gosh, I'm gonna have to.
I gotta find the events page.
You know, that's kind of one of those things that just happens on live podcasting and TV and all that stuff, 100%. And then you got to go find it. But you know what? Amanda has probably already found it. She's
Smoke
working
like a pro. Yes. All right, Saturday, March 3rd, 2025. Award-winning recipes and techniques. It's $250. Registration is limited, so get in there today. I'll put the link to register in the comments.
What's the date again? May?
It's May 3rd, 2025.
May 3rd, 2025. That sounds like a super fun event.
Yeah, for sure.
I mean, if you want to know how to cook, these are the guys that know how to cook.
Absolutely.
This is and how much is it?
Up your barbecue game. It is $250 per attendee.
Just to hang out with the Jimmy Jam people is worth $250.
100%.
Yeah, before you talk about the bourbon and the beer and the food and all the other things.
You get a lot for $250.
That's a deal.
You get a lot there. So definitely go out and support this event. It's going to be amazing.
And you cheap date guys, don't tell your girlfriend it's a real date and to take her there and then think that she's going to drink and eat all this food all weekend. And she's not going to get fooled by the fact that it's a class.
Yes.
It's not going to work. I've seen some of you try this stuff in the past. It doesn't go well.
If you try and surprise this as a date, then she's going to take it as you don't like her cooking. So don't preface it that way.
That is a very intuitive insight into the female mind.
Uh-huh.
Thank you so much for that. Yes.
So tell her, I want you to come with me to this class so I can learn how to be a better grill master for you, babe. And then she'll come and support you.
Can I give you the guy perspective to that now?
Go for it.
I don't want to take my wife to this class because I don't want her coming out there and tell me how to cook on the grill.
All right.
That's my grill. I got this. I'm good. I don't tell her how to cook in the kitchen.
Mm-hmm.
So I really, honestly, this is a horrible thing. Guys, you should go by yourself. Do not take someone else. Women, if you're going, don't take your husband. It will cause a fight. The next thing that'll happen is divorce lawyers. Do not do it. Don't put somebody over my shoulder on the grill telling me how to do it.
Now you have men without their women and women without their men. Is this a recipe for love or disaster?
I don't know.
Don't listen to any of this part. Go to the class, have fun, drink.
I can't believe Jimmy Jam would want to be known for breaking up marriages across the country. They're there to help bring people together with good food.
What happens at the barbecue?
Yeah. Boy, Tim has got to be going, I'm never telling them about another event.
May 2nd, May 3rd. That's Smoke Like a Pro event.
You guys have fun. But yeah, don't bring your significant
It's going to be awesome.
Just go and enjoy.
Yes. Exclusive barbecue class.
Right. There's so much to talk about that has happened and is going on right now and all kinds of crazy things. So two of the ones that to me are kind of terribly tragic. The lesser of the two tragedies is the Florida boat captain.
Oh, my word.
That got on the boat with
Brock Horner.
With the young kid, right? Now, I don't know what happened before. I just know watching the 4 minutes of video that I watched, it didn't look good for the captain of the boat. Now, that's a 4-minute segment of a man's life. I don't know whether he's a good dude, a bad, I don't know.
I went on a deep dive with this guy.
But that 4-minute segment is pretty brutal.
Oh, yeah.
So now I have to also say this. There were plenty of opportunities for him to de-escalate.
Yeah.
And one of the words I hate is just bro. And bro got thrown out there about a billion times. You know, I could do without the bro. Because every time I hear bro, the next thing I want to hear is, don't tase me, bro. from back at the University of Florida in the day.
Yeah.
When the security guard was like, or police officer was like, okay, if you don't stop, I'm taking.
Didn't Bill O'Reilly sell bumper stickers that said "Don't tase me, bro"?
Probably. Somebody should have been tased for some of the rants that he had. It might have been Bill O'Reilly, but that's a little bit of annoying. But I thought the young man was fairly respectful, considering it was 2 or 3 guys yelling at him.
Yes.
I don't think he ever should have gotten on his boat, right? I think that all went south quickly. So tell me what you deep dive research. And if you got this off the internet, we're taking it all with a grain of salt.
Do it. So I've heard a lot of people gripe about the bro. What I would say is this is a young dude. There was speculation that he was like 15, 16, 17. It looks like he was probably about 21. The police came out and said it was, but the altercation was between 2 adults. So I think he's more like 20, 21. The bro to me sounds like he's trying to, again, de-escalate the situation. I feel like he's trying to be like, hey, I'm on your side. And that's why he's using bro, because he probably really wanted to say something else, but saw that this dude was wildly unhinged. So the basic breakdown of the timeline is that the kid, his name is Gage, he was there, another boat was there under the bridge, and they were fishing. Brock Horner and 4 of his buddies come barreling under the bridge, which that's a no-no. We live in Florida. You know you don't go zooming under a bridge. Like, no wake zones. That is what that is. And so then he and the other boat that was no longer present start yelling at each other because he almost hit the other boat. And what is alleged is that the other boat called him some inappropriate names. And he waited, though, until that dude left. And then he came back and started harassing Gage.
I thought he harassed him like the next day. I thought it was a next day event.
So
the way I understood the interaction is it either happened earlier in the morning.
It was early in the morning.
Or it happened later another day, complaining, I think the question was, because I'm replaying mine, were you here yesterday?
So it was.
Is what I thought he said.
My understanding of the timeline was that it happened before sunrise.
Yes. In the dark, because they were complaining about lights.
Yes. And he was like, well, that dude didn't have his lights on. And he's like, well, everyone fishes under this bridge. You know that people fish under this bridge.
Yes.
You should be careful under this bridge. Like, everybody knows that. And that's when, like, I'm out on this water 300 times, 300 days a year, blah, blah, blah. Whatever.
When you got to stop and tell people in a confrontational conversation who you are
Yeah.
It never goes well for you after that point. When you hear yourself start to say that,
Yeah.
you should just stop the conversation because
That was my
it's
argument
going
with the princess
downhill.
shirts.
Yeah, it's
Do you
going
remember
down.
the princess shirts that were really popular
Yeah.
like 20 years? And I was
Mhm.
like, if you have to tell people in screen printing across your tatas that you're a princess, you're probably not a princess. Same sort of situation. So he waits until Gage is alone. The other guy's gone. And then comes back and screams at the boat that he knows he didn't almost hit, that he knows didn't yell at him. And he comes back yelling at him like, you know that dude was at fault. And he's like, but he wasn't. Like, he wasn't doing anything.
I don't know whether he knew or didn't know. He just heard somebody yelling at him. And he wanted his pound of flesh for being yelled at.
Yeah.
And to me, you at that age, you just got to let certain things go.
Mm.
Right? I'm not saying you let everything go, but if you're fishing and somebody else, I mean, it's how many times do people yell at you driving, honk at you, tell you you're number one while you're driving, right? All of those things, you just got to go, I'm not taking this to another level.
But I don't know if he had just
Please don't watch me drive home tonight either, folks. Please do not follow me home tonight.
I don't know if Gage had just not said anything, not responded.
Yeah.
I don't know that would have calmed down good old Brock. I think he would have still come right up to him, screaming at him.
Yeah.
Like, why aren't you, like, I know you can hear me.
I will say this. I've been in situations where you're trying to de-escalate something and the other party's just not having it.
Yeah.
And that was the case there. I mean, the kid basically apologized 2 or 3 times, had to apologize for the guy on the boat. I don't know what all was said. I did think at the end of the 4 minutes, there was some changing of the story, it seemed like.
Yeah.
Like, oh, yeah, that kid was on my boat, or that, there was a guy on my boat yelling.
He referenced him as his friend. That was my friend.
Yeah.
My friend. I'm sorry that my friend said that. And so it went from, I don't even know those people, like, that's not me, to my friend. So my thing is, I don't know if the story evolved because the dude escalated so much and he was just like, I'm gonna apologize for everybody in the world. Like, yes, you're right. That was my friend and he apologizes too. He called me when you were gone.
Suddenly,
he's sorry he existed.
I heard the great philosopher Rodney King. Can't we just all get along? Right? I mean, it was way over the top.
Yeah.
The boat captain got arrested. There is another mini controversy brewing. So one of the guys on Brock's boat is I think a volunteer firefighter in the county, and he didn't get up. And then the fire chief put out a statement defending him. He saved all these people's lives. He's done this. He's done that. People have no sympathy on the internet because there's no one. You can post whatever you want, and there's no way to get back at that person. So some of the stuff I read in response to the fire chief's comments were just ruthless. I don't know a thing about the guy on the boat. I don't know what he was doing or not doing. I don't know. Everyone's like, he should have intervened. I kind of think shut your pie hole up unless you were there. Right? Yeah. Unless you were 100% there.
Well, so
and you can always say, well, I'm sitting here safely from the other side of my computer screen and I'm watching this on my phone and I would have done something differently.
Yeah.
You don't know that. So I just think some of this stuff that gets blown out of proportion is just, and I think this story is going to change multiple times before we're done. I don't think you've got to the end of it. I don't think the good and the bad on both sides are out there yet. All of it.
Yeah. So like I said, I did a deep dive on this. I went back and searched mugshots on Brock Horner because I spent a lot of time in comment sections.
On him.
Yes. So I spent a lot of time in comment sections.
Would you say you're obsessive about social media?
I had about 2 days where I was just like, anytime I saw a post with a lot of comments, I'm like, internet, do what the internet do. I'm going to see what's happening.
You want to see.
And so there was a lot of people talking about his arrest record. So I'm like, okay, well, I'm not going to trust them. So I start searching to see if I can find something. There's about a 10-year rap sheet from 17 years old to 27-ish.
Yep.
And he had multiple arrests for, there was one arrest for like theft, dealing in stolen goods. There was a couple for assaults. There was a couple of DUIs. There was a bunch of probation violations.
All this on the boat captain.
On the boat captain.
Wow.
over the span of 10 years. And so you look at someone's arrest record and you want to be like, okay, well, did they show growth? Like, I'm not going to judge somebody on an arrest record from a 10-year span when they were 17 and 27. Like, what is their behavior now? What it shows me is he hasn't changed as a person. Because everything that he was arrested for, he very much looked intoxicated. He was very much operating a vehicle while he appeared to be intoxicated. He was very aggressive.
We don't know that he was intoxicated.
He very much seemed like it. I'm not saying that he was. He very much seemed like it.
He seemed very angry.
He seemed very angry and not within his proper faculties. Like I said, I spent a lot of time in the comment section. About 35 to 40% of the comments I read were people saying, okay, that dude's insane, but so disappointed in the other 4 men on the boat.
Yes.
Because he says, we're all veterans. And there was a ton of people in the comments saying, those other 4 veterans should have gotten their front end check. Like, this was inappropriate. And then there would be people reply and be like, those 4 dudes got to get back to the dock too. And that's their ride. It's not like you can just walk home from a bad situation.
No, it's not like you can walk home.
On a boat. And so I get that. But like, again, the internet do what the internet do. And so people were figuring out identities of the dudes on the boat. I did see a post of a guy saying, because Brock did post that day that it was Captain's Day on the water and tagged 4 dudes in that post. And so people found his Instagram and then started review bombing. Clearly they review bombed his business, but then started review bombing other captains' businesses. I did see a post and I didn't cross-reference the name to the ones that Brock had tagged, but there was a dude that was like, I don't know this guy. I wasn't on the boat. Stop reviewing my business. This has nothing to do with me. I don't want this heat. I don't want the smoke. But I didn't check to see if he was in the tagged post or if it was just a miss ID. I don't like mob mentality.
I don't like the mob at all.
So the people that went and had nothing to do with his business and just trashed businesses without context and positive ID, I don't love that. The people that posted the video and said, decide if you want this guy to be your captain, I don't have so much of a problem with that. Like, because they're not claiming, I feel like if you go and you're like, this dude's an a-hole and you leave a bad review, that sounds like he was your captain and he treated you badly, like he did a bad job.
Yeah.
But if you just say, hey, this is the guy that runs this business, decide if you want to give him money, and you let him speak for himself, that's, I have less of a problem with that.
Okay.
And so that's kind of where my line is. Like, I get that everyone wants to be a hero and take out the bad guy. But I just don't think that we should be lying about whether or not we got service and reviewing a business you have never experienced any kind of customer service from.
Yep.
I don't love, but I don't, if he allows videos and pictures to be posted, I don't mind letting him stand on his own 2 feet on that. What I didn't like is that the internet can find anyone. And so they posted his wife, his home address. Like, that's not okay.
No, it's not
and
good.
A lot of people in the comments were calling people out that were posting that. And some of those posts were deleted. Like, there are kids involved. I'm not sure if they're his kids or if it's his girlfriend or wife's kids. Like, they had nothing to do with it. And I don't feel like they should be pulled into it. Brock Horner should stand on his own 2 feet and receive whatever punishment. So he's been charged by the local police for piracy, for burglary, and people were very confused about the burglary charge.
He went onto somebody else's craft without asking permission or getting permission.
Yeah, and so that's how that happened. That charge got levied, and then he's being investigated by FWC. He's being investigated by the Coast Guard, so it's possible he's going to lose his captain's license. I've heard people were posting statutes, and what he did was an act of piracy, according to maritime law. And so I don't know if he's going to get charged I don't know if that helps or hurts his like
I was a
street
boat
cred.
captain. I was a boat captain until
And
that
now I'm a
piracy
pirate.
charge. Yeah, so that piracy charge.
So
And
I
that's
don't
where
know.
this thing is just, it got, there was a lot of time. You're in a boat. You just stay away from the other guy's boat, right?
Yeah.
You don't do that.
Keeley saw a video statement from one of the guys on the vessel with Brock Horner.
Mm-hmm.
And he said that he had just been hired for the day for videography and that he wished he would have done more. And he felt bad about that, but he didn't know the guy and like didn't want to get that heat.
You all look at that and say, we would handle that differently. But there's all
Yeah.
situations in our lifetime, you get to the end of that day and I really should have handled that differently, right? I should have
Yeah.
been. So you don't know. And that's the kind of thing that makes me mad. Is like you're sitting there telling people, I would have acted differently. Well,
Yeah.
we don't really know because you weren't there.
Yeah.
It's great. You're saying that from the safety and comfort of not being in the heat of the moment
Yeah.
and being able to watch it at whatever speed you want to and replay it and look at it 100 times from,
Yeah.
that's not the way life works.
You could tell that I'm just going to call him Gage because I'm pretty sure that's his name,
Mhm.
rather than the kid or whatever. You can tell that Gage didn't expect the dude to get on his boat.
No.
Like,
And
that didn't even cross his mind.
And I would say, I thought that the Gage was polite, but there was at times he was poking the guy as well.
Yeah.
Right. He was poking back.
Yeah.
And then realized maybe I ought to quit poking. But I don't blame him for standing up for himself at all.
Yeah.
Right. I just don't. But there was enough of that there that I think that continued to just, neither one of them wanted to back down.
Yeah.
Until the one guy jumped on the boat, and then the younger kid's like, "Look, I'm over this. This is, you win. I'm sorry. How many times do you want me to say I'm sorry?"
Yeah.
The guy never should have jumped on the boat.
No.
You don't do that.
No.
You don't do. He's lucky. It was a young kid, and not somebody who was an angry fisherman that fishes with a loaded weapon.
Yeah.
And didn't decide to shoot him the second he jumped on the boat. That's how lucky he is. So.
Well, he's lucky he met Gage at this point instead of Gage, who's survived this situation and never goes fishing without a weapon again.
Yeah. Well, and Captain Mayhem, I don't believe is he can only be a judge at sea. So on land, where this court's going to be tried, Barbara Jean, I just don't think it could. Yeah, at sea, Captain Mayhem would be an amazing judge in this case, but we're going to have to get them over water to do this.
There's definitely about 20% of the comments where if that dude had stepped on my boat, he would have immediately hit the water with new perforations.
I saw some of those quotes too. I'm not sure that makes
I mean, again, you're big and strong from behind your screen. But you don't know how you're going to react until you've suddenly got someone inches away from you and you don't know how he's going to handle it and whether or not he's packing a weapon.
Absolutely. The other one that is going on is this case in Texas, which is a terrible tragedy. So you had twin brothers, the Metcalfs, who had an interaction with a 17-year-old at a track meet. The story and here, I'm going to preface all this because I usually don't do news stories like this, and I don't follow them through the court case. When it's all over in the court, I'll talk about it because there's so many twists and turns, and I don't do court TV, right? The information that's out there initially was that Austin Metcalf, and he was stabbed and he did die from his wounds.
Yes.
That a 17-year-old from another school had pulled out a knife and stabbed him. So that's a fact, right? Now, what led to that is there's a bunch of stories out there. One is that the 17-year-old that attacked him was completely to blame. The other is that he was being bullied by the kid he ended up stabbing. Again, there's a whole level of, I don't know that stabbing a guy in the chest is the proper action. There's a GoFundMe page.
Well, the GoFundMe page got suspended.
I was one there. Thank you for that.
So the GoFundMe page for the Legal Defense Fund and family members of the attacker, that has been suspended. So at least they're consistent because they suspended Kyle Rittenhouse's. And Kyle Rittenhouse also went to Give, Send, Go, and he was able to raise money for a legal defense fund there, and they are allowing the fund at Give, Send, Go. So there is a legal defense fund there. He's raised over $160,000 last I checked.
So here's the thing for me that is, we're all talking about the kind of the fallout of this. But the repercussion of this is you've got a young man who was 17, 18 years old who's dead,
Mhm.
who died in his brother's arms.
Mhm.
You've got another young man that, regardless of how this court case is going to turn out, is going to be dogged by this and haunted by this for the rest of his life. In a situation where, again,
Not to mention all the teammates that watched it.
mm-hmm,
It's not like these guys were just 3 guys in a situation. They were underneath the track. They were underneath the track team's tent. So his teammates were all there. So
Mhm.
that's just a whole herd of teenagers who have now watched someone die.
Yeah.
And that's traumatic
yes.
for all of them.
Yeah. And, the parents, both sets of parents have lost
Mm-hmm.
a child in this.
Yep.
Right. Because it's just, and again, it's all over somebody arguing over a seat and something escalating to a point where, to me, it's absolutely ridiculous.
Yeah.
So, you want to keep your cool. And again, don't watch me drive home tonight.
And I don't know. So we talked about how Gage didn't have a weapon, and that's probably worked out better for Brock Horner than had he been armed.
Mhm.
There's the question of why a kid who's about to run track had a weapon on him. Like how did that occur? Why did that occur? And that's what I think that's part of why people are so, I mean, there's a lot shocking about this case, but I think that's another aspect of why people are so shocked. Like, you're about to run. The whole goal is to be as fast as possible. Why do you have something heavy on you?
I think that this is another one that, when you kind of look at it, there's going to be a lot of evidence that comes to light between now and trial time.
Mm-hmm.
And, even though the 17-year-old was reported to have said, I did it. Before this goes to trial, this is going to get twisted 17 ways this Sunday. And the tragedy will not bring back the young man that was killed, and it will not put the assailant on a good path. No. All of this is is just horrible. So, yeah. It's apparently the altercation was under 30 seconds.
Yeah.
So it went from, hey, I disagree with you, you disagree with me, to I'm stabbing you in 30 seconds.
Yeah. My understanding was disagreement on one side. Yeah, what are you going to do about it? And I'm going to move you. Well, see what happens if you do. And that's it.
Yeah.
And so my understanding is he then left to the police and said, yeah, I did it, but he touched me first. And now it's become a self-defense argument. That's his defense. I mean, I don't think anyone's surprised by that. People don't just say, I did it, punish me. Yeah. They have a defense. Lawyers get involved.
Yes.
So what are your thoughts on him fundraising for his legal defense?
What are my thoughts on him fundraising for his legal defense? I think that everybody has a right to a trial. Mm-hmm. And to have a trial, and today, if you get a public defender, do I think you get a fair shake? Probably not as much as if you can afford to hire somebody who's a better attorney. So when I look at that, I go, I don't have a problem with somebody fundraising for their legal defense. I'd rather have them have money to have a competent legal defense than to not be able to raise money, have a defense team that's not as adequate, and then their life hangs in the balance. I think this happened in Texas, right? Pretty sure
this happened in Texas.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure death penalty is still on the books for
Texas.
I
don't know for a 17-year-old.
And I don't know where that rises to the level. I don't know all the jurisprudence, so to speak, or the laws. But for me, I don't have an issue with that. I honestly don't. And you're gonna take an issue like this as divisive. And the other reason it's divisive is you have a black kid on one side and a white kid on the other side. And so there are crazies out there that are looking to fund both sides of this because they have a narrative of hate, and they're going to do that. And then you have other people that look at it and go, I feel horrible for one side or the other, and I'm giving money because of that. Mm-hmm. But the ones that are driving it towards hate, they're the ones that, they help fuel some of these things, in my opinion.
Yeah.
If you constantly have hateful rhetoric against somebody just because of the color of their skin, and I don't care what color,
what particular color
you are. Yeah. It's just not good.
Yeah.
So everybody needs to kind of calm down and remember, we only got one shot at this, and life is precious.
Yeah.
Here's a kid who's getting ready to run a track meet, and then he's
Yeah.
gone. So yeah, so I don't.
Yeah,
No part of that. That's good.
I'm impressed that both fundraising companies remain consistent, because the kids essentially been charged with the same charges that Kyle Rittenhouse were charged with, and GoFundMe tanked Kyle Rittenhouse. They tanked this kid's as well. Anthony, is it? Is his last name
Anthony, I believe so.
So they tanked Anthony's, and then Gives and Go maintains that they're a more open platform for anyone to do non-illegal things, anyone to do legal things on. And so,
and again, we have this presumption of innocence in our judicial system. So and that's part of the reason I don't do. I'll talk about this story now. Would never talk about it again until you get to the very end of it, because that legal proceeding is going to take time. As there's twists, there's turns in it. I don't follow all that. When it's over, tell me what the verdict was and why, and then we'll comment on it, because I don't enjoy these type of cases. It reminds me of the birth of court TV, or the growth of it through the O.J. Simpson trial. I did not want to hear the gory details every day of what was on that trial, but there are people locked to their TV screens because of that.
Yeah, my family watched it. Well, my mom really watched it, and so I knew probably more than I should have, as I believe I was 6th grade, 7th grade at the time.
Didn't want to watch. Just tell me when it's over.
They turned on, when they read the verdict, they turned on the TVs at my school. Yeah. So we got to hear the verdict, TV or radio, because it was on both. So yeah, it's pretty wild.
Bobby, what is the jumbo shrimp record? I may have to become a fan. Right now, the Braves are at 1-8. It's looking a lot like 1990.
Well, they could be your minor league team.
The Braves, my minor league team? What are you, insulting me? Stop that.
I have happier news.
Uncalled for. Give me happy news.
For a delayed Bozard Ford community update.
Yeah.
I've got Marineland's got an update. They're doing Extravaganza Saturday, April 12th, 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. 20% off admission. Children 4 and under are free. You get to meet the Easter Bunny from 10:45 to 1:15. You got a grandson, you should take him. Dolphin presentations from 11:15 to 11:30. Bunny and dolphin photo opportunities 11 to 11:45. Easter egg hunts 12:30 to 1 p.m. Save 20% off on all admissions using MBunny20. Extravaganza at Marineland.
The Extravaganza. Yeah.
They do a really
Are they
cute
real
job.
eggs? Because if they're real eggs, that's a lot of money down there.
So they should be real eggs, because Marineland has a very strong message about
they better not be turtle eggs. They better not be turtle eggs.
And so plastic would be a little awkward. I don't know a reusable Easter egg other than like natural eggs.
What a conundrum.
I will send that to you.
Real
Davey.
eggs or chicken eggs cost a lot of money. They can't use turtle eggs. That would be dangerous to endangered species.
Well, so
and they can't use plastic.
I'll push back on the turtle eggs, because the turtles that are there, they can't allow their eggs to hatch, because then the baby, like turtles, return back to the beach of their ancestry.
Yes.
And so you can't allow them to hatch in captivity and then release them out, because then it totally screws them for their whole life. Like they have nowhere to go to, that they can't return back to the beach of their hatching for making their own babies. And so it like really screws with turtles. So when I worked at Marineland, there was a time where there was an overabundance of turtle eggs that they couldn't do anything with.
We will not talk about that. I might throw up. No, I'm just kidding.
As far as I know, they got recycled into food for other fish, but I wasn't an aquarist, so
okay. All right.
We're
not starting that rumor today.
Turtle eggs could be an option, depending on where you get those turtle eggs from.
And only the legend would say they taste like chicken.
I mean, I've heard iguana eggs aren't bad, but I haven't tried them.
I don't know. I'm trying the iguana egg line at Starvation. Then I'll try one.
So in Nicaragua, iguana is a very popular food item for stews. And it's like bonus if it's a female, because then you also have eggs in the stew. So I have I married a man who's half Nicaraguan, and so I know lots of people that have eaten both iguana and iguana eggs.
Is there any truth to the rumor that Jimmy Jam in
No
May
truth.
is
I don't know
doing
what you're doing.
barbecued
It's
iguana?
no truth.
Are they doing barbecued iguana as well?
No truth to that.
Would Louis go if they were doing barbecued iguana?
Yeah.
All right. So here's a breakthrough that supposedly is maybe just a few years away in the next decade.
I'm so scared.
Male birth control pills.
Okay.
So now,
Because they've played out so well for women.
so now both sexes can forget, and both sexes can deal with the consequences.
The unforeseen consequences.
Yes. I love here, they say that it's a safe and effective male pill. Will provide more options to couples.
Mm.
Yep. Then they'll both forget.
It's so they lie to people about proper usage of birth control pills.
Mhm.
And so that's not only do people forget, but people don't. I know almost no one who knows that if you're on an oral contraceptive pill, you have to take it within the same 60-minute span every single day, or it's like you missed the pill. So if you're someone that takes it at 7:30 this morning and then noon at another morning, you are playing Russian roulette with your ovaries because that's how you get pregnant on the pill. That's why there's such a high failure rate on the pill, is because almost no one takes it at the same time every day.
I'm just reading the rest of this article as you're talking about that.
That's fine.
I get the
I'm
whole no
helping
one
you.
takes it at the same time.
No one uses it properly.
The first phase of human testing was successfully completed, resulting in proof that the drug candidate was safe for use in men. So it's a small phase study, but it's perfectly safe. The second phase will take place among a small group of male volunteers in New Zealand. Are they even having sex in New Zealand anymore?
There are more sheep than people in New Zealand. Let them breed. What are
Oh
you
my
doing?
God, are we trying to depopulate an entire small island?
I'm so curious about the mechanism, though.
I don't want to see the New Zealanders go through this.
What
Could
is
we
the pill
do this?
stopping?
Could we do this study at the Ivy Leagues? They don't want to have kids anyway. They're afraid of climate change. Could we just ask the students at the Ivy League schools to participate?
I mean, there's
For the sake of saving the planet.
if you put it on X and Blue Sky, I'm certain there are a ton of male feminists that would love to volunteer for this just so they could get, I'm a male feminist points.
Yep.
There's lots of people, I think, that would volunteer for this.
Oh.
It's not good.
Here, this is crazy, though. The last line of this story is about commenting, right?
Mhm.
We have no tolerance for comments containing violence, racism, profanity, vulgarity, doxing, or discourse behavior. If a comment is spam, instead of replying to it, please click the something icon below. Right. Thank you for partnering with us to maintain fruitful conversation.
Fruitful. On a birth control article. Be fruitful and multiply in the comment section.
Seriously.
Not in real life.
Yes. You can multiply comments, but you can't multiply people.
Oh.
Yeah, I saw that today and I thought, well, this is a disaster. We just don't know where it's going to go yet.
Yeah.
I just when I see those things, I'm like, yeah, that's not going to be good.
So when I started reading research on what happens to a woman's body when she's on hormonal birth control,
Mm-hmm.
I was enraged that no one told me any of this.
Mm-hmm.
So many of the health crises that I've been fighting for the past 13 years could be a result of me having been on hormonal birth control, because you have a 70% higher chance of being diagnosed with an autoimmune condition if you're on hormonal birth control.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody told me that. Nobody told me that taking a pill when I was in my teens and 20s for regular cycles and clear up my acne was going to mean I was going to be sick and age so much faster than the average person.
My mom always swore that her sister Patty died because of the birth control pill. Died of an aneurysm.
So she probably did, because the dosing
back in the 1960s.
Yeah, the dosing was so
Mm-hmm.
like beyond what could be handled.
Mm-hmm.
There's, again, a lot of medical research only tests on men, and then they use that data and give it to women, and it's like, oh, It kills women by the hordes. Whoops. Maybe we should adjust that. Turns out there's a biological difference between how genetic males and genetic females process chemicals in our body.
Yep.
Ain't that weird?
New Zealand, where the men are men and the sheep are scared.
Well, not anymore. The men are going to be neutered.
I still don't think the sheep are safe. Just saying. Because in the article, it said that men did not lose their libido.
If it's anything like the female birth control pill, that pill will kill a woman's libido, like hardcore. And it also changes the kind of mate she's interested in.
I've heard stories about this.
Never marry a man while you're on hormonal birth control. Life hack. It increases the chance of divorce. It really does.
I have heard about this because it changes the pheromone signal that you're looking for.
Well, so it changes. The females are attracted to different types of men throughout their natural cycle. So you want a manly man to get you pregnant. You want a calm, docile man to help raise the baby once you are pregnant. So women are attracted to different kinds of men based on which there's a couple of different hormones that drive the female cycle, depending on which hormone is in control at the time. And so when you're on the pill, you are attracted to a man that you're only going to be attracted to 25% of your life when you're off the pill. So you need to come off hormonal birth control and make sure you actually like that dude before you marry him.
So I just want to reiterate, we have the only female host on the 904 Now network. This is a conversation that would never be had on the morning show. I just want everyone to know that. I want you to think about that. I want you to appreciate the fact that this conversation would not go on the morning show. And even though Davey talks about just about everything on that noon show, I don't think this would be covered on that subject matter because Pete Melfi will walk out that door.
That's code for I'm making every male listening very uncomfortable.
I'm good with all of what you've said. I've read in research.
I think there's uses for hormonal birth control. I'm not 100% against it. I think there are some uses for it. I just don't think we should be handing it out like candy because maybe you've got a 9-day period or your period's a little wonky on the schedule. I think you should be figuring out why your period is long.
And there you went too far. You just went too far, didn't you? You just had to go there.
But it was advertised when I was in my 20s, it was advertised as a cure for acne.
To fix everything.
To fix acne, to make you sleep better.
Insert the weight loss drugs today.
Yes.
Insert those.
Yeah, for sure.
But they did find I had a story, there's a medicine that is supposed to fight cholesterol. And it's a new medicine. It's not a statin.
Okay.
But it knocks out like 90% of the bad cholesterol within the first dose of it.
Yeah.
Now, as a guy that has to fight cholesterol, I'm like, okay, I want to follow this one and see where it goes. But I'm also telling you, I'm not signing up for the trial. I'm not signing up for the first doses. I'll wait, right? Hopefully when I'm 70, they'll have figured this thing out, give it a good 10, 12 years, but I'm not going to be the first guinea pig running to sign up for that. They go, yep, we solved all your cholesterol, but we also shortened this part of your lifespan.
Yeah.
So no, I don't trust a lot of this stuff.
So we have found out that there are medications that change the color of your bones. And we only know that because people that have been on the medications actively then had to have some sort of surgery. And it was like, oh, turns out Accutane turns your bones green. I wonder if that's bad. Do you want to do speed round of 5 questions?
Speed round of 5 questions. Those of you that are playing at home, join us.
All right. This is an easy
yes,
one
no,
for you.
maybe could be good answers.
Yes.
Okay.
We've got some would you rathers for our Monday because we've had a crazy Monday. So would you rather be chronically underdressed or chronically overdressed?
As a surfer, chronically underdressed. As a business guy, slightly overdressed.
Well, this is context specific. You want to be underdressed on the surfboard? You want to not have your wetsuit?
No. You just, to me, the surfing lifestyle is you're constantly wearing flip-flop shorts and a t-shirt.
Yes.
Right? If you're in business, you constantly should be wearing something that's business attire and not looking like you're a surfer, pretending to be a business person. So it kind of depends on what world you're trying to live in. During retirement, I will probably only have, much to Troy's chagrin, just 2 pair of khakis. And that's it.
The amount of khakis that are going to hit the thrift
Yes.
shops when Mike Davis retires. I would say overdressed because it's just fun to be extra.
See, I see the need of that, and always try to dress appropriately for those situations. I have learned when someone says business casual to a party, you better have a tie in the car just in case. Because business casual for me is I don't need a coat or the tie.
Yeah.
But business casual for someone else is, well, yeah, we're just shy of black tie.
We were driving to Footloose Frenzy, and my husband's like, are we going to be wildly overdressed? Because we went with Footloose prom look. And I was like, no, this is what the invitation said. And then we walk in, and punchline, he was not overdressed because there was 2 other dudes dressed exactly like him.
Yes.
But none of their women showed up in the prom dress. Well, no, sorry. One of them did.
Yeah.
There wasn't, when we first got there, Rebecca wasn't there yet. So Rebecca, Troy, Louie, and I were in the same outfit, inspiration, just interpreted in our own ways. It was pretty funny. We didn't get a picture together, though. That's a shame.
Barbara Jean, just food for thought. The purple one was never underdressed. Prince was never underdressed.
No,
just saying. Never saw Prince in flip-flops and shorts. He was always rhinestone in that.
Oh, and in high heels.
Yes.
Fully in high heels.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Would you rather lose your sight or your memories?
What's your name again? That's a great question. I rely on my memory a lot, and I feel like I have a reasonably good memory. But also sight is just a huge thing. That's a tough one.
Yeah.
I guess if you kind of run this through logically, if you lose your sight, you can still remember what things look like if you had a good memory.
Yeah.
If you lose your memory, I guess, you're just going to keep seeing new things. So that's a tough one. That would be a really hard one.
I would
for
rather
me.
lose my sight because your memories are who you like. That's your experience that informs who you are to a certain degree.
Yeah.
And just looking at this is terrible. Looking at the end results of like tragedies that blind people and those people and the lives that they live, and looking at the end results of memory conditions, I would much rather be blind than be in a memory unit because I don't remember anything.
Here's a sad story. So Roger Daltrey of The Who, they came out with a story on him last week. He is losing his sight. He is losing his hearing. And at times he's afraid he's going to lose his vocal cords.
Yeah.
And he said, I might become Tommy. It's horrible.
All that just for the punchline.
No, he said it. I didn't say it. It was Roger. Look up the article.
I don't trust you.
Roger Daltrey is like, oh my gosh, I might become Tommy.
All right.
And I heard that and I thought I did not laugh. I just thought that was sad.
Yeah.
And I know he had an amazing musical career, but it's just
That's sad.
Sad. I guess he's got his memories.
Well, Eric Clapton is also losing his ability to play the guitar, isn't he?
That would be tragic.
Yeah, he's having health crises too. That's impeding his music. I can't remember exactly the details.
What
would you rather, lose your sight or lose your memories, sir?
I'll go with sight. Keep the memories. You guys all convinced me.
All right.
Yep.
Would you rather have universal respect or unlimited power?
Unlimited power would be miserable, and it would just be bad, and it would be, no matter how you tried to use it for good, it would be used to do bad things. So I'll just take respect.
Yeah, same.
That's a respectable guy who has no money and no nothing, but at least he always does things the right way. So we respect that guy. We all look up to the guy with the power, right? But I think unlimited power and unchecked power is just a bad thing.
It corrupts absolutely.
It absolutely does.
They say
100%.
So I would rather go with respect and not have the temptation to be fully corrupted.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
This one's gross. I don't know if you want to answer this one.
Yeah.
Would you rather swim in a pool full of Nutella or a pool full of maple syrup?
I do not like Nutella. I'll take the maple syrup.
I'm doing Nutella.
I don't like Nutella.
You can just float in Nutella. You're going to sink and get stuck.
No Nutella. None.
I've seen the Nothing and Never Ending Story. I'm not doing maple syrup. No.
I still think
never get that out of my hair.
Oh, you're not getting that off your body parts no, that's miserable.
No.
Yes. The sugar high that you're going to get.
That's terrible.
All right, what do you got?
All right, we got one more, right?
Yep, we got 45
I already
seconds.
know that one. Would you rather have a personal maid or a personal chef?
I really like.
I'm waiting for the husband joke.
No, I really.
Just waiting.
I got one of each. Is that the joke you're waiting at?
Yeah.
And she's got the same name.
Yeah.
I don't know where I'm sleeping tonight, everyone.
Don't tell Darcy.
She's in class. I can get away with this, and she got rid of Facebook. So
Just kidding. I promised
just
him.
don't tell her if you know her. I would tell you the maid because I love to cook.
Yeah.
I really enjoy that's something Darcy and I do together,
Mhm.
and it's a lot of fun. And so I enjoy that aspect of cooking. So the other day I was doing something to get ready for dinner, and she was making the pizzas, and I came over to help at the end, and I went to put the pepperonis on, and she's like, "Oh, you're just big timing me now." I said, "I'm just trying to help." She said, "I did all of this, and you're going to put the pepperoni." I said, "Do you want to put
glory.
the?" I said, "I just wanted to help. I just was busy doing other stuff, and I got called out for that." So
Glory
yeah.
stealer.
I got called out for trying to show that I had all the power.
Yeah.
But no, that's a very, I'd much rather be able to cook and just have someone clean.
Yeah, I want a maid.
Mm-hmm.
Again, my husband, I don't love to cook, but my husband does, and my kids do. Like, why would I take that away from them? But no one likes to clean. No, I don't care what you say. No one likes to clean.
Hot water will get off the syrup. Kenny, I'm not sure I want you to answer my next question, but
there's not enough hot water in the world to get it out of look at all his hair, dude.
How does Kenny know that? My next question is, how does Kenny know that? So, I mean, I don't want the answer because I'm afraid he'll give it to me, but we're ending this show before Kenny can answer that.
It's a bike week thing. You have to be there.
Ooh,
we got it. We got 5 questions.
We did it. You guys have a great rest of the week. I'm going to take a couple days off. Amanda's got it from here. We got Davey on tomorrow, Levi, and cryptocurrency expert Tommy will be in on Wednesday.
Well, we're talking to the Center for the Arts tomorrow with Davey. So we're going to talk about the next play coming up.
Yep.
Zaddy had to run away because the teens are coming back to town. And then we're going to talk more about cryptocurrency, see if we can make y'all all investors. And then Bollocks Boys Trivia and Mayhem on Thursday.
Bollocks Boys Trivia and Mayhem. Yep.
We got it.
All right. You guys have a wonderful week. I'll see you next Monday.
Bye.